65% of UK agricultural land is grassland, making it our biggest and most important crop. Good grassland is the cheapest form of livestock feeding and is the base on which profitable farming is built. Grass is not necessarily a cheap crop to grow. A good crop of silage costs £30 per tonne, whilst even grazed grass costs £15 per tonne. Most of these costs are generally unavoidable: renter equivalent, fertiliser, fuel, machinery costs and other overheads. So if it costs £30 a tonne to grow a good crop of silage, imagine what the cost is of growing a poor crop. The fixed costs remain the same, but the grassland is lower yielding and poorer quality, meaning silage costs become incredibly high. All livestock farmers are used to monitoring the fitness of their animals, with most using the 1 to 5 condition scoring index. Here at Barenbrug, we've developed a similar principle for monitoring grass swards, with 5 being a highly productive field and 1 being a poor field that needs to be ploughed out. In this short guide, our team aims to show how to apply these principles to your grasslands so you can maximise your profitability from grass.
Here we have a really good example of an Index 1, a field that is really past its best. The reason we can see this is we've got less than 25% ryegrass. The ryegrass that is left is of very poor quality, and where the ryegrass was, it's filled the gaps up with weed grasses and broadleaf weeds. Totally unproductive, not nutritious, not got feed value, and are no use to our ruminant livestock. Once a field gets to this stage, it really isn't worthwhile using fertiliser because it won't use it efficiently. It may only get down to sort of 10 or 15% efficiency from the fertiliser that's applied. In this situation, we're actually getting less than 25% production off it than we would expect, and in this case, I would recommend that the field is ploughed up and we start again.
I'm standing in what I believe to be an Index 2 field. This field has been considerably damaged by the overwintering of stock. We can see that the cattle have tramped certain areas and poached the sward quite considerably. Whether it be a case of lack of sward density in the existing sward or poor weather conditions, if something isn't done with this field fairly soon, it's going to be a complete write-off. We do have several options still open to us. We can burn off the existing sward and go for a complete reseed, or we could use the less expensive option of overseeding. When considering overseeding options, we should look at the recommended list varieties. Consider our varieties in terms of yield, sward density and palatability. 8 to 10 kilos stitched into this sward could easily turn it round from an Index 2 to an Index 3 or 4, and we could quite easily get 3 or 4 extra years production from this without having to do the complete reseed.
We've classified this field as Index 3. As you can see, it's very open and the gaps are allowing weeds to come in and dominate the sward. The docks in this field represent 20% of the plant population, and this means that this field's losing 20% of yield. March and April time is the ideal time to spray out docks and other grassland weeds. This dock is the ideal size for spraying. It's dinner plate size and actively growing, and the leaves present a good target for spray droplets and therefore should take up chemical quite well. Choose a translocated product such as DockStar Pro, which will move into the roots and give long-term control. Consult the manufacturer's label on instructions on how long to leave a sprayed field to avoid problems with young seedlings. Use a grass harrow to remove dead plant material and create a tilth before overseeding with quality grass seed. Overseeding is not a complete solution to reseed, however, in fields like this, it will improve the production by 30 to 40% for 3 to 4 years. This is also an ideal time to introduce clover into the sward for its nitrogen fixing properties.
We've classified this field as an Index 4. As you can see, there are some signs of low-level damage, less vigorous grasses and some weeds are present. However, there's still plenty of healthy target plants in the sward. The target clover content of a high-performance lay is between 30 to 40%. If this is achieved, we will be adding about 170 to 220 kgs of nitrogen per hectare per year to the soil. A protein content of clover at 27% ensures good animal performance. Our target ryegrass content will therefore be 60 to 70%. The nutritional quality of a condition score 4 field will generally not constrain cow performance. The energy content of good, well-grazed ryegrass is consistent at above 11.5 megajoules of energy per kilogram of dry matter. So what do? Well, we want as dense of sward as possible to eliminate the invasion of any unproductive species. Nitrogen can influence the plant's ability to tiller. The more tillers our plant has, the denser it is. therefore the less prone it is to invasion from unproductive species. This is one of the reasons why clover is so important. So a helpful tip would be to check soil fertility and apply a light application of summer nitrogen to encourage tillering. This field will probably be okay for the coming season, but a ryegrass content of less than 60% will require further action.
This is what we would consider an Index 5 field. It's a nice healthy ley full of highly productive grasses sourced from recommended lists. The content will be at least 80% sown species and it's created a nice dense ley. Where clover is sown in an Index 5 field, it will account for around 30% plant population. In order to maintain a sward like this, it's important to have good fertility. Regular soil sampling every 3 to 5 years will ensure you monitor where you are and what you need to focus on. 50% of UK grassland soil sampled have a pH of between 5 and 6. A pH of 5 means grassland has a potential for only 88% of yield. When planning a liming policy, it's important to aim for maintaining pHs at 6 or above. Regular soil sampling will also give you phosphate and potash indices. The use of the RB209 fertiliser manual will give recommendations for all cutting and grazing regimes for nitrogen, phosphate, potash and sulphur fertilisers, as well as values for slurry and farmyard manure. All of these need to be taken into account when formulating a fertiliser regime. Many fields can look good from the roadside, however it's not until you walk into the field that you find the problems. Hopefully this guide has convinced you to go and spend some time walking through your fields and monitoring them more closely. Good grass is the cheapest form of livestock feeding. Fields at Index 4 and 5 are high yielding and highly profitable. Fields at Index 3 are salvageable and worthy of some investment. Fields at Index 1 and 2, however, are carrying all the overheads and not giving the productivity back. These fields need significant investment.